This brief video blog today has the title From Upsets to Assets. We receive both much that is good and exciting and unexpected, as well as many things that equally unexpectedly are not as good as we might have desired. I remember hearing a true story of a Chinese restaurant owner who laboriously occupied the same space for many years. He developed a great clientele because everything that he offered in his restaurant was very good, even though it was humble, simple, and even small. And imagine the surprise that he had when all of the buildings around his restaurant were being bought for the erection of a major shopping mall. But he stood his ground. He absolutely would not sell it. And he had that option, fortunately, because in many similar situations we know that people have to sell. They have no other choice. But he insisted, no, I'm not intimidated by the bigness of the shopping mall. I'm going to remain where I have been, where my business is known, and that's it. So they consented, knowing that sooner or later he would have to sell up his business, close up shop, and go elsewhere. But that was not necessary, because when the time came, he did something very unique, very creative. All that he did in the midst of all of the great and modern buildings around him, who were also part of the space that he occupied, he decided to put a big sign that said, "Main entrance." So, as people came to that shopping mall and saw the sign, "Main entrance," they were led to go through his restaurant. And once there, the good smell of the food and the samples of dishes that were being offered and that they could find on the shelves attracted them to that place. And the business that was relatively good up to that point became even better. Another example is something that I heard in my youth. I read about an earthquake that devastated a small town somewhere in the United States. And there was a bakery that had all of its glass shelves completely broken. And it was of great concern to the owner, as it would be to anyone. What will I do now? But again, a creative idea came to his mind. He decided to put immediate advertisements in the local newspapers. And he said, "Come and buy some baked goods from broken shelves." And those who read that were quite surprised by the nature of that announcement, and they decided to follow the address and to go there. And once they entered, they could smell all of the newly baked goods, and they became frequent and constant customers of that establishment. And in no time, new shelves could be placed and the business could prosper once again. Last but not least, I want to remind you of a story that perhaps you already know, because it refers to a very common, very well-known American enterprise, namely Kentucky Fried Chicken. The one who founded this agency and this chain of stores for a long time lived in his native state of Kentucky. And he reached the age of retirement, and he felt very discouraged at having to live on a Social Security check, which would not amount to too much. So energetic as he was, he sought a new line of work. And then he remembered a family recipe for Kentucky fried chicken that his mother had left. And he continued to keep it as a secret. He opened a roadside stand, and that became instant success. And of course, I don't need to go on with this story, because now KFC is found all over the world. And at the age of 80, Colonel Harlan Sanders of Kentucky was able to sell that business for a very vast amount, and continued as an employee of the now big chain, receiving a handsome salary as well. So, dear friends, don't be discouraged when bad things may happen to you. Just find in them the seeds of a greater idea that you can implement and recover from whatever upsets your life may have brought you.